Hi, I'm Chadwick with APRS Physical Therapy. We're here on the banks of the Madison River today. We've got fly fishing on the brain today. So one of the things we see a lot in the spring is shoulder injuries, that type of stuff, where people they've gotten back to fly fishing for the first time, or they're rowing the boat again a lot and they're having a bunch of pain. So today I want to do a few things. I want to give us tips on how to avoid some of that pain, what to do to make us feel a little bit better on the way down the river so we can catch more fish and enjoy ourselves. So let's start out with just a little bit of anatomy review for the shoulder so we have a better understanding of why the shoulder might give us pain. So when you're elevated into a casting position, what the shoulder does is you flex and externally rotate. So you've got my little disarticulated shoulder here. What that looks like is the shoulder will come up and then externally rotate. Now you can see these divots in our shoulder blade here and here. These are for the rotator cuff muscles. People often mispronounce it as rotator cuff. It's actually rotator cuff. It's a series of 4 small muscles, and their job is to make sure that as the arm elevates, that the ball stays within the socket and elevates appropriately so that there's no pain. If you do have weakness in that musculature or any pain for any reason, a lot of times what is happening is those muscles aren't strong enough to hold that humerus inside that fossa, and it'll either ride up and pinch tissues between bone, or you'll strain a muscle. So we've got a few tips to help people out as they hit the river. The first one being is probably a good warm-up. So we talk about active warm-ups in sport all the time, and one of the best ways to do an active warm-up for the shoulder is to bring a couple bands with you. It might look a little goofy on the side of the river, but trust me, if you have shoulder pain, it's completely worth it. Rotator cuff musculature, it's general action, so what those muscles make your arm do is external rotation for 3 of them and internal rotation for 1 of them. So I like to hit both of those movements prior to hitting the river. So you can just grab onto the band, you start, keep the elbow in tight next to the body, and just externally rotate. If you keep doing this, where you're gonna feel a burn is right on the back side of the shoulder, okay? Which is exactly what we want. If you're gonna go for internal rotation, which would be your subscapularis musculature, then you would just put the band in the other hand. The elbow still stays at the side of your body, but you go out to in. So instead of starting at your belly button and going out, you'll start out and pull towards your belly button. These are 2 really good exercises for just warm-up type stuff. Get the shoulder ready for action here. In fly fishing, since the arm's usually elevated over the head, that means you would pick a strengthening exercise that mimics that. So I will often have my shoulder elevated a little bit, and then I'll externally rotate, just like you would if you were fly fishing. You can see how that kind of mimics that motion. This is an excellent warm-up for the rotator cuff muscles prior to getting on the river. So now we've gone through an active warm-up, our shoulder's ready for some action. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get the boat launched here, and then we'll get into the boat and get after a few casting tips, things to make you more effective on the water. We're here on the lower Madison River with Kelsey Houseman is casting off the front, and she's throwing a pretty heavy rig. She's streamer fishing. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about casting-wise when you're throwing real heavy rigs as it pertains to your shoulder health is to make sure that you watch your body mechanics when you do it. So if Kelsey would demonstrate real quick what it looks like if you fish real bent over. I see that kind of posture out of people that work at computers routinely, do any kind of repetitive bent over tasks, that kind of stuff. It's becoming more and more prevalent. And you can see when she has a posture like that and goes to lift her arm above her head, if you demonstrate for me, she can't get that nearly as far. It predisposes her to things such as impingement and rotator cuff tears of the supraspinatus muscle. So to correct that, you can often do extension exercises over a foam roll, or if you just think about it and you're mindful while you're fishing, to go from a position of being hunched over and flexed through your thoracic spine to extended, just the way Kelsey's standing right now. That way she can elevate, she's got tons of room to externally rotate her shoulder, and she should have a pretty pain-free experience as she heads down the river casting large bugs. Hey, just in ending, I mean, this is why we do it. We had a real successful trip today. If we can help you enjoy the outdoors anymore, please look us up, give us a shout. We'll do our best to help you out.